Kristin Omdahl show. This is episode 903, and we're here live in Southwest Florida in my studio this morning. Lots of things I want to talk to you about. I know I promised that we'd do a girly review product today with a coupon code, but I didn't get the code in time. In fact, I only got the code 5 minutes before we were going live, so there wasn't enough. I had to set up a plan B for the show this morning, so we'll move that review and super fun show to tomorrow. In the meantime, today I'm going to be talking about side hustle and the types of patterns that I recommend if you're looking to sell your items, and helping you to understand the disclaimer on all my patterns and all that good stuff. So if you have questions about side hustle, today's episode is for you. Yes, we are going to be talking about this amazing little knitting machine that I've been working ever so hard with in the last month. My glasses are dirty. Let me see, what can I clean them on? It's been crazy here this morning trying to juggle plan A and plan B for the show, which involved a complete rehaul of the space. Anyway, I will try to calm down here. If you're joining me live, please say hello. Let me know if you're crafting this morning. Let me know if you have questions for me. Bring it. Let's see. What's everybody got to say today? Hi, Kathy. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Sharon, Nikki, Judy, Linda, Leona, Marcia, Mariana, Lucy, Steffi, Jane, Nikki. Good morning, everybody. Hi, Jane. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Hooked by Suze. Hi, Sharon. Good morning. Hi, Kathy. Thank you all so much for taking time out of your busy day to spend a few minutes here with me. I absolutely appreciate. I appreciate your time. I know you have so many choices. We all have so many choices. So the things that we do choose are intentional and special. And I just want to thank you so much for spending time with me. This is the Callie Mae Cowl. If you haven't been watching the last couple of episodes, you may not be familiar with this pattern yet. It is a one ball project in my newest yarn, Beso Vivid yarn, which is a number 4 worsted weight self-striping yarn that has amazing gradient soft self-striping color changes. It's a number 4 worsted weight, animal-free, 100% hypoallergenic, 70% cotton, 30% acrylic, with an amazing halo. I hope that shows up on camera so you can see that it very much has a mohair or wool look to it, but yet it is 100% animal free. It is so soft. I've shown a couple of other projects so far, 2 shawls yesterday, so you did get to see that it has amazing drape as well. One of the things that I did for this yarn was whip up one of these cowls in all 15 colorways so that you could see the color changes. For example, the sample that I'm wearing is done in the colorway Strike a Rose, and here's what it looks like in the ball. And I just wanted to show you that it really doesn't, even though it's pretty in the ball, it really doesn't do the beautiful color changing justice to see it just in the ball. So it was important to me to have a sample knit up in every color. Now, having said that, I ran into the same problem that people with a side hustle have. How do I speed this up? How do I figure out, how do I justify the amount of labor that I'm going to put into this to the finished product? Because time's always of the essence for me, and I'm always juggling tons and tons of projects. So for me, labor was really a focus on this in order to get all of these samples done. And I thought, okay, well, I've got this little knitting machine and it will knit a tube, but I don't just want to knit a bunch of tubes just to show you the colors. I wanted to turn it into something pretty and something practical that is really a pattern. And I thought, well, how can I do that? And I also thought about the fact that so many people always request, and have for years, some patterns that combine knitting and crochet. And I get it. If you knit and crochet, that is a fun challenge, and it is a niche that is not often represented in the majority of patterns across the internet and books and websites and all that good stuff. And I thought the best way to get the maximum use out of one ball of yarn, because I still at that point wasn't sure how long the piece would be out of the machine either. So I thought, well, if I start with the flower first, Then I can just use whatever is left in the ball to create the tube. I should have knit the flower first this morning then. We're gonna be short on time today. We might need to do this in 2 parts then. Because we do have, you know what? I'm gonna bump the live premiere. No, tubes are not the only thing you can do on the knitting machine, and I'll talk about that too. But just 1 second, I'm gonna bump up. I set a live premiere this morning scheduled for 9:30, and we're not gonna be done in time for that. So I'm gonna bump that one up to 10:30. Actually, I'm going to bump it up to 11, so it gives me some time to get done with this and get everything situated. Okay, so the live premiere of part 2 for the Stella Luna shawl will now be at 11 o'clock today, my time. So if you're doing the math in your head, that's an hour and 45 minutes from now. Okay, well that takes the pressure off of me to get everything said and done. So the question was, what all can you do on this machine? And I'm going to take it off the table real quick so I can show it to you up close. Maybe I can move the camera down. Let's see if the camera will move down. So it clamps to a table with this little tiny clamp here. Maybe I will pull it off. Oh, we've got kitty toys. Ha! Let's move that. There we go. Put that in the other room. So it comes with this clamp, and all it does is hook around one leg of the machine. So simple. So here's the machine. It's not electric. It's completely manual. You could do this anywhere. You could do this in a cabin in the woods. You could do it at a campground. As long as you have a table that you can clamp to, you could do this in the middle of the desert, in the middle of a forest, at the beach, or in your house. It doesn't matter. There's no electricity required for this. So what I do is I put it on the table. All I have to do, can you see the bottom of the table here? Yes, you can. Okay. So what you do is you take that hooky part, see the hooky part there? That's maybe not a word, but you know what I mean. And we hook it around the leg, move the platform there underneath, and then twist up until they're tight. The one thing about any type of machine, and this applies to lots of different types of knitting devices that I've used over the years, or winding devices, you need a table without a bezeled edge. And you'd be surprised at how many tables have a bezeled edge. This particular table has a somewhat flat edge. It's not quite 100% flat, but if your tables are all bezeled on the edge or rounded, you'll just want to put a piece of plywood or some sort of heavy piece of wood over the top so that you have a piece of wood that is squared off. You do need a squared off piece of wood to attach these clamps. And like I said, you'd be amazed once you start looking. Countertops, rounded or bezeled. Most dining room tables, most everything has a fancy edge on it. So when you start wanting to clamp things, you'll have to start looking for something. But like I said, in a pinch, if all of your tables don't work, get a small piece of, or get a piece of plywood that will hang over the edge of the table. One of the things that I use instead of plywood so that you have a smooth finish is grab shelving from Home Depot. Closet shelving always has a laminate finish to it. So it is just plain pieces of wood, and it's raw on the edges, but it is covered with laminate on the top, so it's smooth wood and it won't snag your yarn. So that's something that I actually use. Yeah, they're almost universal, I know, and you wouldn't realize that until you start looking for something that doesn't have them. I saw a question, let's see. Is the knitting machine really $249? It fluctuates. I've seen it as low as $179 before, and I've seen it as high as $279. It does fluctuate sometimes, depends on where you're looking. Last time I checked on the one on my Amazon shop, it was under $200, but it makes one of these scarves in under an hour. And that's where I was going with all of this. If you're looking to make scarves for quick sales, you can make this scarf minus the flower in under an hour. I want to say it's closer to 30 minutes per scarf knitting time. Now, you still have to do the cinching and the weaving in the loose ends, but if you wanted to knit this scarf manually, which you can, and the pattern tells you how many stitches to cast on, how long to knit, and how to cast off or bind off. You can absolutely do this in the round. If you know how to knit in the round, this is one of the easiest patterns in the world. It's just knit every round. And I give you all that information in the pattern, but let's say you don't knit and you want to make this, the machine would be great. And let's say you want to make them for sale and you want to keep your labor costs down. Well, now you can justify the price because it's going to make you money too. So lots of ways to look at it. You know, the glass is half full and half empty. Yes, you can balk at the price of the machine because, oh, I just want to make one. Sure, if you just want to make one, knit it. You know, just knit it. But if you want to make a bunch of them to sell in an Etsy shop or sell at a craft fair or make a bunch for Christmas presents in a short amount of time, then you can totally justify the cost because it saves you so many hours in labor. Let's see what kind of... yes, if you wanted to add the crank adapter and speed drill, you definitely could. I've seen that hack also, although I will say that I do find that the stitches sometimes pop off if you go too quickly, so that would be something to consider. What I was going to do today is show you how to set up the machine, but now I'm realizing that I should have done the flower first. Let's see. I can still get it started though. Let's see. So... who wants to see me knit up something on the machine? Anybody? Is everybody interested in seeing that? Because it's really easy to get started. And thanks, Lisa. Joe says yes too, so does Judy. Okay, let's see how close we can get here and how focused this can be. How does that look? Does that look pretty good? The color in the cowl that I'm wearing is called Strike a Rose. It has lots of beautiful colors of pink and raspberry. It has some blue violet and lavender, and it has some beautiful corally peach. It's absolutely stunning, and you can see the entire colorway in the photos on my website, and here in the knit cowl you can see how beautifully they transition too. So pretty. Yeah, that's Strike a Rose. Okay, let's see. Let's pick a color. On the table here I have Gilded Rainbow, Sunny Days, Pinking of You, Very Nice, You, Me, and the Sea, and Strike a Rose. Which one would you like to be, which one would you like to see me demonstrate? Can this cowl be done in any other weight yarn? Of course it can. There's no sizing other than making sure that it, what do you call it? Fits around your neck, right? You want to make sure you do enough rows, and that brings me back to anytime you are substituting, get my face on there. Anytime you are substituting a yarn, you have to keep in mind that your gauge can change, so don't forget about that. Okay, what do we see? I'm going to do Sunny Days. Okay, so here we go, Sunny Days. In the cake, you can pull from the center or you can pull from the bottom. I'm going to pull from the center because for these scarves, I set the cake right on the floor. Let's see, I didn't set this up right. Hold on a second. In my haste to show you how to clamp, I didn't get the handle close to me. And I wanted to be able to show you a couple other components as well. So before I even get to the hand crank, I wanted to show you that there is a number bar here, or there's a number screen. It'll tell you how many revolutions around if you're trying to match something specifically. And this little guide here is going to be important after we finish casting on, but I want my hand crank to be closest here, so I'm going to hook around this leg. No, the machine does not need to be used for just circular items. You can work back and forth in rows, and there's a switch here, and these white needles here tell you when you, or I think there's a black one too. The black ones tell you where the beginning and end of the row is if you're choosing to do the back and forth in rows. And that will still do stockinette, which will be knit on the right side, purl on the wrong side, and we can do that in another demonstration, but for today I want to show you how we get set up to knit in the round, which is by far the easiest way to use this machine. Okay, so I've got my cake on the floor, And now I'm going to take my tail and put it into the center of the machine. I am not going to put my yarn in the guide yet, and I'm going to manually hook around every other hook. See how those have a hook on them, kind of like a crochet hook, which is kind of funny, right? And we're going to make sure that we latch our yarn in the hook of every other needle until we make the first revolution around the entire loop. I also wanted to point out, I put at least 2 feet of yarn under here, and that's because of the way that we're constructing the scarf. If you were just doing any old thing, you would want to keep your tail the length that you would normally keep your tail for weaving in loose ends, but because we're cinching this scarf up and sewing it together and sewing it to the flower, I like to be generous with my tail on this. And so now I'm slowly hand cranking. You want to make sure you only work in one direction with the crank, because you can work in both directions. And we're just going to latch every other hook. Can you see this okay? Yes, there are other Addi knitting machines for making socks and smaller items either. This is the largest machine. Okay, we've made it all the way around. We've latched into the same hook twice from the beginning, and now I'm going to open up my knitting guide. Not only open it, but I'm going to slide this into that guide there. Did you see that? I slid it into there, and then I'm going to close the guide. Okay? All right. And now I'm going to hold the yarn here with just the tiniest bit of tension. Not tension, but you want it to be taut so that the yarn doesn't wiggle too much as it's being knit on the machine. And until you've, oh, I'm attached, my tripod was sitting on it. And then you want to start slow. And if you decide that you feel comfortable and want to go faster, you can do that as you go, but it will be a trial. It will be like what do you call, a trial and error. I have found that at times if I go too fast, then the stitches pop off the needles and I get problems. But sometimes I can go really fast too, so it really just depends on you, your tension, your speed, and I think your consistency also. But yes, there are times when I go fast. Right now I'm wanting to go slow, and then if the stitches pop off, there are a couple of ways you can fix them. You can either try to fix them in the moment. You can wait till the end and fix them with a yarn needle and extra yarn, or you can take the whole thing off and start over also. Yes, I use the completed ball. Yes, I start by making the flower first, so I know exactly how much yardage I have for the cowl. So I do the flower first, and then whatever is left in the ball, I knit the entire cowl scarf with that. Isn't it amazing, Steffi? If you didn't know how to use this before, isn't it amazing how I hope that this looks easier than you thought it would. This is a number 4 worsted weight. I believe it could handle Beso Easy number 5. We can try that another day for sure. I would definitely be willing to experiment with this to show you. Lisa says it does. Lisa, are you answering the question about bulky 5? Have you tried thicker yarn on here? It depends on, okay, someone else is talking about a large knitting needle. Now those are knitting machines. Those machines are definitely dedicated to certain weights of yarn, so you will need to know which weight of yarn works for whatever machine you're using. This one I've only done, and actually I take that back. I've done Beso Fine on here. I've done Beso Sporty on here. I've done, and now I've done Beso Vivid. So I've done number 1, number 2, and number 4 weight yarn. And I do believe you could do number 5. And I'm seeing from the comments that other people, yes, of course I'll be showing you how to do the flower. There will be tutorial videos on both sections of the scarf. I just thought it would be fun to answer some live questions and do a live demo today as well. This is a really fun way to watch the color changes too. Can you see the colors changing already? So what's happening is, as the stitches are getting knit, I'm seeing it from the inside. I'm seeing the reverse stockinette side. Here's the stockinette side, and as this gets longer, it will come out the bottom, and you'll see that because we're going to keep going until it does. And you'll get to see, well, you can still see the color change in here too. It is so much fun. It's almost magic to watch the colors change like this. Isn't this fun? It's very therapeutic too. It's kind of like one of those ASMR things. It's very therapeutic to do this repetitive motion and watch the color change on its own and watch the scarf get so big so fast. If I was knitting this manually, it would not be going this fast. I'd probably still be counting out my cast on, which I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I love knitting manually by hand too. And there's something very therapeutic about having a Zen project like that. But there's a time and a place for everything. And I'm showing you this for those of you that might be interested in side hustle or doing things quicker or making things that are knit without wanting to learn to knit. Yeah, I would imagine they do, Karen. This is definitely a quality product. This is made by Addi Turbo in Germany. They're a long-standing quality company in the craft industry, and it's I absolutely love this machine. It's wonderful. Okay, so anytime you knit stockinette, it's a curling fabric, right? So you have to keep in mind that this is going to curl up on itself until we fix it at the end. Quality is the way to go, especially if you're thinking about selling stuff. Absolutely. Yes, I know it's relaxing to just watch, let alone do. I know. I've actually taught many people how to do this manually or by hand. In fact, my assistant, she had helped me make these scarves, and she had zero crafting experience, and she was able to help me make a good handful of these scarves. I did some of them, and she did with zero crafting experience. Look at those color changes. You can still see the blue down here. Now I'm going to pull up the ball. I want you to see the ball side by, will it show here? Yes, there we go. That's the color that I'm using. I think it's so interesting. Let's see all the way we can see the color. There we go. Okay. Yes, you can make hats too. I've seen where you make hats and then you actually make them double so that it's a double layered hat. That's really cool. Or that way you can avoid the non-curling, the curling stitches. Or if you wanted to make a hat, cinch the top and then pick up and manually knit or manually crochet the rib edge so that it's non-curling. I've seen it done that way too. We can do that with easy one day. I have not oiled my machine, but there are screws on here. I would imagine that you could clean this out and oil it for sure. And there are probably videos on that on YouTube, so you could find tutorial videos on that. And when I get around to doing it, I will definitely show you how I do it as well. This color is called Sunny Days. That's correct. It's this one right here. One of the other patterns that I wanted to mention, I think is amazing for side hustle work, is the Kelly earrings. These earrings take very little time to do it. In fact, I'm going to go get my scale because I think it's really important that I tell you how many pairs of earrings you can get from one set, from one ball of Beso Fine Tidbit. Give me 1 second because I think this is important. And for a variety of reasons, and I'll explain it to you on another day, I made all of these yesterday. I've lost my original pair that were white, and so I was pulling out different balls of Beso Fine Tidbits to make new colors. Didn't have an extra, let's see. Okay, so they're so light, they're not even gonna weigh on their own, so I'll weigh them together. 3, 4, 5, 6. They're not even weighing. I'll have to pull out an even finer scale to tell you. So this is one of the reasons why I wanted to point this out. Even from one $10 ball of Beso Fine Tidbit yarn, I'm thinking that you're going to get, okay, what's wrong here? Oh, let's tear it. Let's see, hold on. Okay, maybe it was set for tear. I'm thinking it was 12. Here we go. Okay, it's 1.5 grams per pair of earrings. So I'm thinking you're going to be able to get maybe at least 10 pairs. I've got to figure out my math. You're going to be able to get at least 10 pairs of earrings from one ball of yarn. These take, I don't know, 5 minutes per earring to make. It's incredibly quick to make. And every time I wear them, I get compliments on these earrings. I don't care if it's somebody that knows that I make things by hand or people that don't know. I get compliments every time I wear these earrings. I've done them in Beso Fine Bling. I've done them in Beso Fine. And here are some colors that I just made yesterday. This is Celestial Blue Mist. This is Lavender. Those are not on the ring yet. This is Tropical Hot Coral. This is Passionate Plum. This is Sandcastle. This is Raven. And this is Pink Dragon Fruit. I used a 2.5 millimeter hook for those. That's the Kelly earrings. You can find that pattern and on my website, and you can find that video here on my YouTube channel. And you'll need to use whatever size hook you can get gauge with. And it also depends on what size hoop earrings you're using. I do have a link in the pattern to tell you what size hoops I was using. I believe these are 2.5 inches. I buy them for an incredible deal on YouTube, or on Amazon too. Let's see if I can find them in here. Where are they? Here they are. So here are the sets of earrings that I buy. And these are cheap too. I buy these cheap on Amazon. It takes no time to make the earrings, which means I think that these would absolutely work for side hustle stuff. I get them a set with rose gold and silver and gold. I did get a couple sets that had black in there too. These are 60 millimeter hoops. I feel like it's a 2.5 inch, but I can't remember. It'll say on the website, but I get them in 3 packs, and you can find these on my Amazon shop. So cute, so cheap, and so easy to assemble the earrings. Anyway, so side hustle, absolutely 100% approve though that pattern for side hustle. I think this pattern is amazing for side hustle. Anything where you can keep your labor costs low, I just think is a great way to, is a great project to consider for side hustle and selling your finished goods. Okay, having said that, I'm going to move the camera up now. You've seen enough of that close up. I want to be able to talk to you, but I'm going to keep working too. Okay. Okay. Is this good? Maybe move it up a little bit. There. Okay. So what I wanted to say about what I wanted to say about side hustle is, if you may have read the copyright disclaimer on all of my patterns. I'm going to take these off until I actually need to read something. The disclaimer on all of my patterns, obviously they're copyrighted, and it says these patterns are not meant to be used for commercial gain or for sharing. Obviously with copyright, it's a one per person. You know the copyright rules. If you don't, please ask, and I'd be happy to explain, or Judy or one of the moderators can help you understand. So if you don't understand copyright and the fact that a pattern for purchase is for one person only, not to be shared, that is illegal. It's a copyright infringement. However, in my disclaimer, I also say it's not for commercial gain. The reason I do that is to protect myself from companies who want to commercially exploit my patterns and use them as their own designs. I have always said here, and anytime I have the opportunity to speak on any of my platforms about this, that all you need to do is email me for permission. Email customer service, email Judy. You just need to see in writing that you have asked permission to use one of my patterns to sell. And I am one of the few designers who, in the lifetime of my career, have given permission to use my patterns for sale. I started in this industry selling finished items. Granted, I sold items that I designed, but still, I have given my permission, and whenever possible, I have helped promote somebody's use of my patterns to sell finished items. So I definitely wholeheartedly approve of helping people with side hustles using my patterns. It's just something that needs to be asked for in writing and receive permission in writing. So don't let the disclaimer fool you. It is to protect me, but it's to protect me from bigger entities. I hope that makes sense, and if it doesn't, please feel welcome to ask questions because I want this to make sense. Let's say hi everybody who's joining later. Karen, I appreciate you saying that it's generous, but it's something that's very important to me. I don't forget where I started. I came from very humble beginnings. I still struggle, but I will never forget how hard it was to sell things handmade and try to make money doing that. So I will always support people trying to do the same. And even thinking in terms of my charity, side hustle might be the first way that someone gets their own independent money if they're in a controlling relationship. And that's something that I always consider because that's actually how the seeds of my entire career began while I was living overseas, making stuff for my baby before he was born, and being in a very controlling, very abusive relationship where I didn't have a dime to my name, had no way to come home living in a foreign country, and over 20 years ago. And one of the reasons why I felt hope when I wanted to escape and come home was because I believed that I could take my newfound knit and crochet skills and sell things when I got here. Obviously, that didn't last long because I forgot about labor costs. However, it still was my beginning, and it's still what gave me hope and confidence to leave in the first place. So I will never forget that, and because of that, that is why I try to give permission whenever it makes sense. Obviously, if there is a company that wants to steal my designs and make them for commercial use, no, that's against the law, and that's something I don't give permission to, and that's why the copyright disclaimer includes that on all of my patterns. Does that make sense, everybody? I want to make sure everybody understands, and again, it requires permission. You have to contact me to get permission first. Yeah, you can see it getting longer. See how it's coming out the bottom? I better bend the camera down again. Besides, you ought to see my shoes today. Can you see my shoes? Look at my shoes. Aren't they so cute? I love these so much. Okay, let's go back to this. Okay, so you can see how it's coming out the bottom now? Can you see how it's coming out the bottom? Yeah. And it twists as it comes out the bottom, so I untwist it as it goes too. Oh, yes, Lori. It was very, very difficult. But I survived and we're here, so everything worked out. Okay. Mary has made the Kelly earrings in purple. Yay! And she has a granddaughter who wants a pair in black. Okay, what does that tell you? Okay, this is also something very significant to discuss. She and her granddaughter like the same pair of earrings. Hello, these are universally cute for all age groups. How amazing is that? How often do you find a knit or crochet pattern that the younger generation and some of us older generations like at the same time? That's fantastic. So it appeals to many age groups. It's quick. It doesn't cost a lot of money to make, and it's easily sellable. I think that is something amazing. Along with this, when could you make a scarf this big hand knitting and have your labor be under an hour? You can't. This is amazing. Okay, you see how it's twisting on itself, and then I just have to untwist it as it goes. No big deal. You might not need to, I just like to. I think it's an excuse to get to touch the soft goodness of it. Yeah, I think I just like petting the yarn. Lisa, this yarn is, it's amazing. This, I couldn't tell if my flower was on right. The machine is amazing. There's so many other things we can do with it. I'm only showing you, I've had this one for years, and I used to use it to make self-striped yarn when I first tried to do gradient yarn for Beso Fine and Beso Sporty. Remember when I used to dye that in self-striping yarn? Well, what I had to do is knit them undyed, then paint them in a gradient colorway, rinse, dry, unravel the knit piece, put it back into a ball, and then sell it. Can you even imagine the labor cost of that? Not only was it hand dyeing, but it was having to knit and unknit and rewind into a ball after dyeing. Like, it was insanely labor intensive as a one-person show. Obviously, if you are a company that does that, it's different. You have a team and a staff, and now I have a mill that does this yarn for me, but to do it by myself, I couldn't keep up. I couldn't keep up with all that, and shipping, and designing, and everything else, but it was fun to experiment with, and it definitely got me to appreciate the craftsmanship that goes behind gradient yarns. Gradient yarns do take a lot more work to make, but they are so special, so amazing, so many different ways you can take advantage of it, from either just enjoying the magic of watching it change as you're making things, or really amplifying the use of it by doing modular constructions, changing direction. There's so many ways you can appreciate the work of self-striping yarn so that you don't have to change color. You can avoid all those pesky loose ends to weave in, because you would need to do that if you were changing color manually. Oh yeah, Faye, that's great. Her 7-year-old grandson Reed is excited to try this machine. Yes, you could get kids involved. This would be a great introduction to crafting for kids. Absolutely. It is so fun and so easy and requires no knitting skill. You'd simply have to crank. And if you can roll down an old-fashioned window, which I'm not sure all kids can, how long has it been since we've had hand crank windows, right? I still say I'm going to get a muscle car one day though, and then I will have my hand crank windows again. I want a muscle car, preferably one that I learned how to renovate myself, and I want it to be a stick shift and have hand crank windows. Yes. Maybe a convertible too. But I definitely want that sound of a muscle engine, or muscle car engine. Yeah, I don't think they even know what a hand crank window is. I'll have to ask Marlon. I know he knows because he's into cars and he's into old stuff, but I will ask his girlfriend. Oh, that's so sweet. Hi, Reed. I hope you're having a great day with your Grandma Faye. She's a sweetheart. Lori would love a Mustang convertible from the 60s. There's a couple of cars that I would like. What kind of hat would you make to go with the scarf? I would make a simple hat and stockinette just to match the stitch work of this. I think that would be fine, and maybe do a ribbed brim. Just something super simple to go with it. You could even do a smaller flower to put on the hat too. That would be so cute. All right, we're almost done with this ball, which is so exciting. And then I'm going to show you, look at, we're almost done. Oh, so I was gonna say which muscle cars are my favorites. So one of my favorites is a 1969 or 70 Chevelle in that Hawaii blue color. I think it's called Aloha Blue, and I would like it to be a convertible, possibly. And my other favorite is like an old Fleetwood Brom Cadillac convertible, but I would like that one in a wild color. So the convertible giant Cadillac I would love to see with leopard seats and a wild bright color like electric turquoise, electric lime green, or electric raspberry for the exterior, and leopard's print interior convertible in that giant old Cadillac, like a 78 Fleetwood Brom. And I'm from true muscle car, 1970 Chevelle. I love the curves on that. 66 Mustang, that's cool, Brenda. There are other cars that I love too. Those are just the first two that come to mind. I also love an old-fashioned Jeep, the kind where you can take the doors off and the top off. And I think that, no, I didn't move. I just moved my studio to a different room in the house. Grand National, that's cool too. For the Jeep, I'd like something where you take the doors and the top off, and I might like to see that one with wraps instead of paint on it. So I could do like a high definition glitter or a high definition, what do you call it, iridescent colorway, or maybe even do like a snow leopard print. Ooh, Karen drives a hot rod Lincoln. That's awesome. Very cool. Yeah, so those are things, those are goals, those are the kind of hobbies I'd like to do in my retirement days, I think. If they come. Ashley knit hat, that's a good simple hat. That's a great suggestion, Judy. Ooh, the car from Supernatural. Yes, I love that car. I also love the car from Entourage, the one with the doors that open this way, the Lincoln that opens that way. I love, love, love that car too. I think that's a Lincoln. What's the car from Supernatural called? I forget. Yeah, someone said Dodge Challenger, very cool. VW Bugs are cool too, the older ones. I agree. I like the old Mercedes that they're converting into vegetable oil for fuel. That's kind of cool too. I think my sister had one of those years ago. Look at how long this is already. Isn't that great? So if you wanted to make this a scarf that isn't a cowl, you could put fringe on both ends of this also. I'll show you what the actual length is of this too before we... Oh, Reed likes my kitties, Bjorn Becker. Maybe they'll come say hi to you today. Oh, no, they're sleeping outside already. They love this. A 67 Chevy Impala from Supernatural. That's right. That's another one that's on my list of very favorite muscle cars. The best part of muscle cars is the noise, though, right? The sound of that bloop, 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 bloop. Okay, we are coming close to the end of this. You may have noticed that I've been speeding up also. It's because as I'm going along and I'm feeling like I'm having a good run here. There's nothing really jumping or causing any issues. I feel like when things are running smoothly. Nope, Ashley is not knit on the machine. Nope. Nope, there is a stitch pattern to the Ashley pattern, I believe. Did I speak too soon? Yeah, exactly, you get in the groove. Okay, so with this scarf, I'm showing you how big the scarf can be without knitting the flower first. So if you wanted to make a scarf with fringe instead, this would be a 2-ball project to add the fringe, okay? Or if you wanted to add some sort of edging to each side of the tube so it ends up being non-curling, you would also dip into a second ball. We're using the full ball for the actual machine knit tube. Funny, this isn't the first time that I've gone live in the new setup for my studio, but it's the first time somebody noticed. I knew you guys would notice eventually. Yeah, this is actually the glass block room that I do a lot of my photos in, and also the room where I keep my piano and my guitar. And I guess it's a converted porch that they turned into a room in the house, which is interesting because back there is a sliding glass door that goes to my bedroom, which would make 0 sense in an actual house built at one time. But it does make sense that this was originally the lanai and my bedroom door had access to the lanai separate from the living room access. So what I do is I keep a hole open here. And I keep it all closed, but I keep the door open so the kitties have a secret doorway. In case they get scared, they have a secret route to my bedroom to hide, which I gotta tell you, they love. Okay. Yes, great suggestion, Judy. Leave a comment on episode 901 for a chance to win a free ball of Beso Vivid yarn. I will be, and whether you watch this on any of my social media channels, you will have to leave that comment on my YouTube channel on episode 901. Okay, we're ready to bind off, and this is super easy. So we're going to take the yarn out of the guide. We've got our tail here, doesn't matter. And we're going to keep cranking, but we're no longer adding yarn to it. And so as we go 2 times around, it will pull those stitches off. Now, those stitches are live stitches. So whether you did it manually 1 stitch at a time or took it off like that, you will need a yarn needle to secure each of those stitches before cinching it closed. Whoops. And I could have shown you either way, but because we're short on time, I decided to show it to you this way instead. So you see we have all those live stitches here. And so what we're going to do is insert our tail through each stitch, and that will secure them. You just want to work in each stitch all the way around. I should have done it on the machine. It's much neater and cleaner if you do this 1 stitch at a time on the machine. I just, I got caught up in the moment. I'll do this again for a tutorial video, and in that video I'll show you how to take it off manually as well. And if you were going to knit an edging or something, you would pick up and knit into each of these stitches to do that. Now let me show you the full length. So here's the full length of that piece. If you wanted to make a longer scarf, you could add a second ball of yarn too. And if you wanted to just make it look longer, you could add fringe to both of these and just insert the fringe into each of those stitches as you go around. And that would just require a second ball of yarn. So lots of ways that you could use this, even this one simple beginner pattern to make different pieces. So you could either make the knit and crochet cowl with attached flower, or you could make the tube all in one piece, or you could make it into a longer scarf, add edging to it, or add fringe to it. Lots of ways that you could actually make a lot of variations on this as well, which would be great for side hustle, having different, even doing one simple thing that's fast, and then adding different treatments at the end to make it look slightly different so you have options for people. another great way to add variety to your shop or your side hustle without doing too much designing at the same time. So lots of ways to keep variety going. Does anybody have any questions? Thanks, Lucy. Yeah, you can find this shop in my Amazon shop. Obviously, you can find all the colors of Beso Vivid Yarn on my website. This is color Striker Rose. The color I used today was Sunny Days. It comes in 15 gorgeous colors. You can see this cowl scarf in all of the other colors up here. I'll just say them as I point. So this is Berry Nice, Bonfire Serenade, Pinking of You, Sunny Days, This'll Make You Smile, Unicorn Kiss, Heart Throb, You Look Marvelous, Gilded Rainbow, You Me in the Sea, Moon Mist, Miami Vibe, and Strike a Rose. Let's make, oh, there's two more. A River Runs Through It, and Snow Leopard. You can find close-up photos of all of these yarns like this on my website, and you can find close-up photos of all of these yarns like this on my website too. All of those photos are shown on the Beso Vivid Yarn page. So much you can do with this yarn, and I thought we may as well start simple and quick, and we'll move on from there. And I've got so many wonderful things to show you about it. Yes, this would be great for charity hats also. Anytime you can reduce your labor costs, you can get so much more volume of product for the time that you put into something. So whether you want to make a big splash for charity, whether you want to make a decent presence for a side hustle or an online shop or a craft show, so many ways you can take advantage of things that are low labor. And don't forget about jewelry. This particular earring pattern, the Kelly pattern, I feel like is a great value. And like we've discussed today, it's something that appeals to many generations. Anytime you can come up with something that appeals to many generations, you can get more sales that way too, right? Okay, we've got yesterday I live premiered these, I can't find the shawl. The Stella crochet shawl video part 1 debuted yesterday, and we're going to debut part 2 today. So in part 1 I showed you how to make the motifs for the crochet edging on the Stella Luna shawl, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to pick up and crochet along the edge of those motifs and work in the decrease pattern to work bottom up to finish this super quick shawl. It's only a 2-ball project in Beso Vivid Yarn, and I showed it in Miami Vibe colorway, and I used color Unicorn Kiss for the tutorial video, so you'll get to see it in 2 different colorways. What you're going to really love about watching the part 2 video, it's a simple pattern, so you'll get it after a couple rows, but I showed more rows than necessary because I wanted you to see how fun it is to see the color change, and it's really fun. So I hope you can join me. It's going to be a live premiere at 11 o'clock today. I'll be there live in the live chat, so if you want to ask me questions in real time, you can. If you can't watch it at the same time as me, no problem. It'll be a recorded video on my YouTube channel after that, and you can watch it as many times as you need to follow along to learn the pattern, or you can save it so that you're ready to watch it whenever you're ready to make the Stella Luna crochet shawl. As always, if you have questions for me, please leave them for me in the comments. If it's something I can answer quickly, I will answer it in the comments. And if it's something that seems meaty to save for an episode of the show, we'll do that as well. So thank you all so much for taking time out of your busy day to spend a few minutes here with me. I hope you enjoyed my demo. I appreciated all of the amazing questions. I hope you enjoyed my answers. Let us make time to create, share, and inspire today and every day. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow, same time. Bye-bye.